Hi everyone, my name's Roderberg69 and I thought today I'd do a quick flight in Eurofly 3 beta, which is definitely beta, and I'm going to take the Beachcraft plane out for a fly today, just a short one. It is the third plane in the training and I'm currently doing the training again, so we'll just take a ride and I'll give a brief tutorial on how I do things and we'll see how I go.
World map exploration. Training.
Enter. Training. Training dialog. Practice flights combo box. 1. Filter edit. Training combo box. Beachcraft 36 Bonanza Netherlands 2 GHTE. Enter. Odds 3 Europe Netherlands Pro 95. Dashboard.
Steering controls ready.
Hangar.
Okay, we'll just wait for all the noise to stop so I can talk.
Hangar.
Okay, so basically I'm part of the Blind Gaming Club and we've got lots of accessible games that we play, so I'll put a link in the description to the website, and if you want to check us out, check us out. But basically I fly a little bit different than a lot of people. A lot of people use all the shortcuts on the keyboard. Well, I'm a bit of a lazy person, so I use a program called Voice Attack, which basically I do voice commands to do everything, which you'll hear me doing, and I use that to turn everything on. Just saves a little bit of time, and I also use an Xbox controller for a few different things, which I'll explain as we go along, which makes it a lot easier, because I did have to actually land once using the keyboard, and I was so stressed out after using the controller for so long. But okay, let's get started. We're in the Beachcraft. I don't remember the numbers. I've done this plane quite a few times, just playing the beta and fixing things and doing things. So we'll just check and make sure I'm in the right Voice Attack profile. Profile name.
This is the Beachcraft profile.
Right, we're in the correct profile. So the first thing you need to do is start up your computer and everything like that, so you can find out what your plane's doing. So we'll start that now, but again, I'm not going to be using the keyboard, so here we go. Start up.
Computer on. Strobe lights
Seeking
on.
lights.
Landing
Lights
radio
on.
on. Transponder on.
Primary startup complete. Please connect to nearest tower, then complete your flight plan, then complete next checklist using command, checklist 2. Press 9 for radio frequency.
Okay, that voice you heard is basically coming from Voice Attack. I've told it to tell me things to do after each sequence. So the first thing we'll do is do as he said and check the radio frequency. As you can hear, my radio's on and buzzing. So we press 9 to do that.
Combo box. Charge approach control 121.0.
Audio. So our frequency is 121.0, so we'll now set that.
Escape. Edit.
Set radio frequency.
Set frequency. Set free 1, 2, 1. 121. Period. 0. Charge approach control. Edit.
SK824. Welcome to our airport.
Okay, we're in the airport and we've been welcomed. So let's check our fuel first. So that's just the letter E, which I don't have set as a key because it's something quick and easy.
494 liters.
Okay, we got 494 litres. I put a bit of fuel in just to show you how you put fuel in. I don't know the shortcut key as I do it via voice. Refuel now, please.
Control E. Set fuel amount. Edit.
Well, there you go. Control E is for putting fuel in. So I'll just put in 50 litres now just
5,
to
0,
top me off.
50. Enter. Edit.
Originally, when the game first started, you'd start with an empty tank. So as soon as you turned the computer on, you'd have a howling alarm going off, which they fixed that. Most planes start with between 100 and 350 litres of fuel. Won't get you anywhere, but stops that alarm from going off and blowing your eardrums out when you first start up. Okay, so first thing we've got to do is sort of pick where we want to go, which we're just doing a short flight today. So that's Control F8 to bring up your nearest airport list. So
Combo
we'll
box.
do that.
Netherlands Tuge Ashi HTE left paren 0 kilometers right paren.
That's where we're at now, Netherlands Tuge. Tells you you're 0 kilometers away. And I'm just going to fly to the next airport today. I think it's 120 k's away. So I'll probably fly at turbo mode just to get us there a little bit quicker. Now, I'll just explain that turbo mode in the training is okay, but in the game, if you use turbo mode, you don't get paid or anything for the flights, so you probably don't want to be using that. So let's check out the next airport, and we'll set that as our destination.
Netherlands Texel-EHTX left, paren 127 kilometers, 135 left, 8 minutes right, paren.
Okay, so it's Netherlands Texel or something like that. So just to set that destination, I'll press the space bar.
Destination set, edit.
Okay, so this just saves a little bit of time when you're doing a flight plan. If you've already got your destination selected, you can just leave that highlighted as you go through, which you'll hear in a minute. But I just find it easier that way rather than searching through the list in the flight plan list. So rightio. So now we've got to set a flight plan to tell the airport where we're going, so the next airport knows we're arriving there as well. So to do that, we press F1 to contact the radio tower.
Combo box, enter dash asking for permission to enter the runway. Plan dash I want to create a flight plan.
Okay, so I want to create a flight plan. All I did then was press down, so the first option.
Enter dash asking for permission to enter the runway.
And the
plan dash I
second
want
one,
to create a flight plan.
they do change, so you just have to scroll through them just with the up-down arrows. So now I press enter on creating a flight plan.
Enter, call sign read only edit, SKMTF 824.
That's my call sign. I'll tab.
Select destination combo box, Netherlands Texel-EHTX.
As I explained before, I've already selected my destination, so it's already in the list, and that's good, saves me a lot of time. Otherwise here you'd scroll through the list of probably all the airports in the game, and that'll take you quite some time. So we'll tab to the next option.
Filter edit.
Which is filter. I think that's, you can type in the name of the airport. I've never used it, so I always set the destination.
Flight description edit.
Flight description, this is just a text box where you can put in a description of the flight, where you're going, what you're doing, whatever. It's just on the world map on the website. People will actually see that. I've never really looked for it when I've been looking at people online, but yeah, take a look. You can do that if you want.
Requesting combo box, navigated flight.
Right, here is what you're requesting. So we'll just go back and I'll read that out again.
Flight description edit. Requesting combo box, navigated flight.
Right, so right now we're set on a navigated flight. Now what that means is if I select that, I may get the ATC, the air traffic control, telling me where to go. I may not. But what that means is I'll get beacons which I have to go to each beacon before I approach the next airport. So I might get 2, 3, sometimes you get 10, 12 different beacons that you have to. Sorry about that, just somebody flying over. But right now the air traffic control is sort of broken in the game. Well, not broken, it's just not implemented yet, as this is a beta. So never try contacting to the main country tower or to the state towers or whatever unless you're told to by the tower that you're connected to when you take off. Otherwise your game will crash and you'll have to start over. So right, I don't want to do a navigated flight, I want to try and get a direct flight, so I press my arrow down.
Direct flight.
And then we press tab to the next
Request
one.
flight button.
And which is requesting flight. This will change when you're in the larger planes. It offers more options for getting passengers and stuff once you're actually out of this. So we'll just move on. So I'll select the flight and I'll let him speak, and then I'll implement the stuff that he tells me to do.
Enter.
SK824. Flight plan accepted. Set transponder to 6908.
Right, so the transponder is your little beacon. They call it the squawk in other games, but if you miss that, it's okay. You can just press the spacebar to get the last radio message out again. So I'm going to hear it again, and then I'm going to set it.
Space.
SK824. Flight plan accepted. Set transponder to 6908.
Set transponder.
Set transponder code. Set transponder code edit.
So
6 0 0 9 0 8 6908. Enter.
I think that was right.
Space.
SK824. Flight plan accepted. Set transponder to 6908.
Yep, we got that right, which you can check with your T key.
0.
Oop, I thought you could. Might be Control T or something like that, but anyway, we'll move on. Right, so now I've got that, I've got my fuel, I'm pretty much ready to go. So I'm going to start the plane now, which you've got to start all the other systems as well at the same time. But again, I'm using a voice program, so it's going to do all this for me. So we'll do that now. Final startup.
Page up, blank, page down, blank.
Temperature control radar on. Stall indication on. TCAS on. Sensor on. Ventilation
Final
on.
startup complete. If you need to collect passengers, use the command. Passenger checklist. If no passengers, use command, taxi checklist, or takeoff procedure. Now please set cabin temperature.
Set temperature. Set temperature combo box. 18.
Okay, you can just use your up down arrows to set the temperature. You have to do that manually. I had that turn on automatically to tell me to do that.
17. 18. 19. 20. 21. Enter.
Temperature
I
set.
always set between 21 and 22. Nice comfy temperature. It's just me in the plane, so I don't want to be too cold. But yeah, so there's lots of things you have to turn on with each section. You can actually check that through Alt-H. It actually gives you a list of things. I will do that now.
Help mode on. Tree view.
So that's help mode, but you can actually go, so I'm in the help
Level 0.
mode.
Map left. Paren 93 right. Correct. Plane left. Paren 37
This
right.
actually
Correct.
gives,
Closed.
this actually gives you all the tips for all the key presses and everything. So you've got the
Engines
plane,
left. Paren 11 right.
engines,
Control slash steering left. Paren 11 right.
controls,
Correct. On dashboard computer left. Paren 18 right. Correct.
onboard
Closed.
computer, all the settings. So if you highlight that, then you press the right
On
arrow to
dashboard
open
computer
it.
left. Paren 18 right. Correct.
And
Open.
this will tell you all the controls that you can
Delete
do.
dash report current throttle settings slash in the list of favorites. Remove the selected location slash in the list of sound schemes. Remove the selected scheme. D dash report distance traveled.
So see, that's D. That'll report the distance travelled, which at the
E
moment I
dash report
travel
the amount of fuel
0.
in the tank.
E reports, which I've already showed
G
you.
dash well on the ground. Report the steering angle. Well airborne. Report the bank angle of the wings. When pressed twice quickly. Re dash centers the wheels or wings. K dash well
So
on the
you can
ground.
go through
Report
all
the airport
that,
latitude,
but there's
semicolon,
also
airborne. Report
other
the GPS
things you can
latitude.
do.
Search edit.
You can search for commands.
Results combo box. Keystroke meaning. Read only edit. Less not separator.
So keystroke meaning, you can press a key and it'll tell you the meaning of it. I'm just pressing tab to get to these, so you're cycling through each page. So I'll just press E to show you what it does.
E report the amount of fuel in the tank.
So see, you can press the keys and
D report distance traveled.
it'll tell you what they're for. But okay, we'll go to the next
Ed,
section.
sound overview combo box. Automatic
That's
operation
just
completed.
sound overview. It does the beeps and everything and tells you what they're for. So I'll just do one.
Course changed by specified amount. Steering angle of the wheels, wings or
so-
nose. Course changed by specified amount.
All right.
Space.
See, so that's the sound that you'll hear if you've set it up. So right, let's go to the next section.
Edit. Contains text. Rules button. Tree view. On dashboard computer left. Paren 18 right. Paren open. K dash well on the ground. Report. Search
Oh,
edit.
I didn't hear it.
Results combo box. Report distance traveled. Sound overview combo box. Course change. Edit. Contains text. Get to know the properties of your current airport.
Here we
Vertical
go.
bar shift plus enter. Get
Right.
to know the properties of your plane. Get to know the properties of your
This
current airport.
is-
Get to know the properties of your plane. Vertical bar
It's
control
sort
plus
of
enter.
a checklist of what you should do. So you can scroll through here and it'll tell you everything you should do in probably the order you should do it in. I got my own plans these days, but I'll just quickly arrow through a couple of things.
Get to know the properties of your current airport. Vertical bar shift plus enter. Find out how many pilots there currently are of your airport. Vertical bar control plus shift plus enter. Turn on the battery. Vertical bar control plus shift plus B. Turn on the lights. Vertical bar shift plus S. Shift plus K. Shift plus D. Shift plus L.
So see, it's telling you everything you need to do in steps, so you can see how many pilots at the airport. You can get to know the airport you're at, which I'll show you in a minute. And then it tells you all the keys to turn on all your lights.
Turn on the on dashboard computer. Vertical bar control plus shift plus K.
Tells you to turn on the onboard computer. So this is telling you in steps, but first thing you definitely got to turn on is the battery. All right, well, let's get out of there and move on.
Escape. Edit.
Okay, so right. First thing I should do is find out about the plane, like stall speeds, flap settings, all that sort of stuff. So to do that, it's just control and enter.
Control enter. Combo box. Pilot
brings
Roddenberg
up-
69 left. Paren 1 right. Paren.
Brings up my plane properties basically, so you can scroll through all
SKMTF
these.
824 training flight.
That's my call sign and that it's a training flight.
Beachcraft 36 Bonanza.
There you go, I'm in the Beachcraft Bonanza. So that's your plane that you're actually looking at.
Transport plane. Propeller plane left. Paren 1 right. Paren dash. Borrowed.
And it's telling me it's a transport plane, it's a propeller plane, and it's borrowed because I'm on a training flight, so I'm borrowing it from the company.
Certified.
It's certified.
Condition 100%.
Conditions 100%.
Last system check colon none.
I've never done a system check. Let's just do that
Escape.
now.
Edit.
So this is a little bit where it gets a little bit tricky. It'll tell you that it's Control Z or Z to do the system check, but on different keyboards, I think that's for like non-English keyboards. I'm pretty sure for English keyboards it's changed to Control Y, but I'll try that now. If it doesn't work, I'm just going to move on.
East.
Ooh, see, didn't work. Right, so I'm not sure. I thought maybe it's Control Shift Y. I'll just do one more try.
Control
Starting
Shift Y.
system check.
There you go. Control Shift Y. And I think it tells you in the help files it's Control Shift Z, but it's not. So rightio, we've done that. So Control Enter again.
Control Enter. Combo box. Pilot Roderberg 16 SKM Beachcraft 36 Bonanza.
And now it will say that we've actually done a system check.
Transport certified. Condition 100%. Last system check colon just now.
Just now, see? So, and it's all at 100%.
System check colon all systems are working correctly.
There you go, all systems working correctly. I've never seen that not say that, so I know I've never really ran into anything to have damage. But you can run into buildings and stuff like that if you're not careful. You've got to use the sensor and stay away from the beeps, which I'll show you shortly.
Number of seats colon 5.
It's 5
Number
seats.
of passengers colon 0.
I've got 0
Wingspan colon 10
passengers.
meters.
Its wingspan is 10
Length
metres.
colon 8 meters.
It gives you quite a lot of information about the plane, but which we're not really here for that. So I'm just going to move down until I get to the flaps and takeoff speeds, etc.
Mass weight colon 1. Current weight colon 1. Port cruising speed colon 326 kmph.
So we cruise at 326, but you do go faster than that, and when I'm using turbo I'll go probably way faster than that.
Maximum cruising range colon 1722 kilometers. Maximum cruising altitude colon 5600 meters. Flap positions colon 0/3.
Okay, so the flap positions are 0, 3, so that's all it's got. It's got from 0 to 3.
Fast takeoff speed colon 120 kmph.
So base takeoff speed's 120 kilometers an hour. So you don't want to try and take off anything below that.
Fast landing speed colon 120 kmph.
The base landing speed's 120, but that changes when you set the flaps. So we'll go through that in a second.
Stall speed colon 130 kmph.
Okay, that was very important. So the stall speed's 130 kilometers per hour, which, so basically it says your base takeoff is 120, but if you tried taking off at that with no flaps, you would not get off the ground in a real plane because your stall speed's 130. So you need to set the flaps to get below that, which I'll look at that in a second.
Current takeoff speed colon 120 kmph. Nose angle when taking off colon 6-9-12. Current takeoff speed
Now-
colon 120 kmph.
The current takeoff speed, you want to check this when you've got more fuel or you've got passengers in the bigger planes, because that will recalculate with more weight. So you've definitely got to check that all the time, and then you've got to set your flaps accordingly.
Nose angle when taking off colon 6-9-12.
Right, so that's your takeoff angle, 6, 9, 12 degrees. Now, pretty much all planes are between that. So basically what that means is you need to be at that angle to take off. So 90% of the time, or let's say 99% of the time, I will take off at 10 degrees, which is just pressing and holding the shift down and pressing the down arrow once. If you want to go up in single increments, you just press down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and that'll get you 6 degrees. But I just do it at 10 degrees, and then in some of the bigger planes if they can go up to 12 degrees, I'll just then quickly tap twice just to get to 12 degrees, just to get a bit higher, a bit faster. But yeah, very important to do that.
Minimum flap position when taking off colon 1.
Okay, minimum flap when taking off, so you have to be set at flap 1 to take off. I don't know, I've never really tried taking off without the flaps. I did accidentally once, but I actually remembered and I stopped the plane, turned around, went back and redone it again.
Minimum takeoff runway length colon 583 meters.
Right, so I need a minimum runway of 583 meters,
Current landing speed colon 120 kmph.
and that's just the current landing speed.
Minimum flap position when landing colon 2.
So minimum flap when landing is 2, but you can change that because this plane has 3 flap settings. I could set it to 3 if I wanted to land at a slower speed. If it was a shorter runway, if I was scared that I wasn't going to stop properly.
Minimum landing runway length colon 442 meters.
Right, so I only need 442 meters to land. I
Minimum current landing speed colon 1. Minimum takeoff runway length colon 583 meters.
need 583 to take off
Minimum flap position when minimum landing runway length colon 442 meters.
and 442 to land, so it stops a little bit quicker.
Fuel tank capacity colon 1860
Right,
liters.
so that's all. You can get your fuel tank capacity and everything, but there's a new window now in the game, which has been implemented while they're building the game. So it's the technical information of the plane. I'll just move over to that. Your next, if you tab while in plane information. Your next one is your flight
Combo
plan.
box. Flight plan. Starting airport colon 2 dash HTE left paren
Tells you
Netherlands
where
right
you're
paren.
going. This is where you can
Destination
find
airport colon texel dash
all-
HTX left paren Netherlands right paren.
this is where you can find all of your waypoints and things that you have to do if you have to do a navigate flight, which they don't really work in the game at the moment. So I just recommend doing a direct flight no matter what. Until you actually get punished for not doing a direct flight, I would just do a direct flight, which I'm approved for a direct flight anyway.
Combo box. Logbook.
Right, logbook, that tells
Flown.
you about the plane, how far you've flown and all that, how many flights you've done.
410 kilometers.
So I've done 410 kilometers in this
410 kilometers without crashing.
without
1 hours,
crashing.
16 minutes.
1 hour 16
1
minutes.
hours, 16 minutes without crashing.
And I haven't crashed, good
2
thing.
takeoffs.
I've had 2
2 takeoffs
takeoffs.
without crashing. 2 landings. 2 landings without crashing. 0 fatal stalls. 0 consecutive fatal stalls. 0 minor crashes. 0 fatal crashes. 0 repairs.
So that's a good thing so far. Very good.
Combo box. Technical data.
Right, now here's the technical data, whatever you want to say. This gives you your stall speeds and your throttle speeds. I never look at the throttle speeds because I haven't used them, but we'll just quickly go through the stall speeds.
Stall speeds colon. Flap 0 colon 130 kmph.
Right, so flaps 0, 130 is your stall speed. So when you're coming into land, you make sure you've got your flaps set before you get to that, or you will fall out of the sky.
Flaps 1 colon 120 kmph.
Right, so at flaps 1, that gets us down to that takeoff speed at 120 kilometres an hour.
Flaps 2 colon 110 kmph.
So flaps 2 is 110, which is our landing flaps. So that means we can, our base landing speed is 120, but we can land at 110, which I wouldn't recommend, because if you get too close to that, you will fall out of the sky as well. 110 is your stall speed, so that means if you're below 111 and you get to 110, you're falling out of the sky. So get your throttles back up and don't be below 111. Now you will have if you've got your stall alarm turned on, that'll be screaming in your ear. I'm going to be turning that off because I want to land quickly when I land, so I'll turn the stall speed indicator off because I get down between 112, 111, and I think the stall speed alarm goes off at like 120, anything below that. I'll explain that a little bit more later.
Flaps 3 colon 105 kmph.
So flaps 3, it's 105. So if you had a shorter runway and you wanted to be going a bit slower, you could do that one.
Throttle
Then-
presets colon.
Then it goes into throttle presets, which we're not too worried about.
Escape. Edit.
Right, let's actually try and get this plane off the ground. So now I'm just checking things on my controller. So the first thing I want to check is my direction.
95.
So I'm at 95 degrees. Normally I'd be facing east, but I came in here a bit hot last night when I landed. And I know for a fact on this airport that the taxiway Alpha runs west, so I will have to turn around once I get moving. I'm just explaining that to you. You'll get a bit more in depth with taxiways and stuff as we move on, but right now I'm just checking things. So I probably don't have to check where I am.
65 parking in front of the hangar.
Right, so I'm at 65.
844 parking in front of the hangar.
And that's 844 distance it's just your coordinates in the airport. So as I start heading up the runway, up the taxiway, that will decrease or increase depending on which way the airport goes. And the next buttons
135 left at 320. 127 kilometers, texel 8 minutes.
That's just telling me how long, which the 8 minutes is wrong.
0.
That's my speed.
0 above ground.
That's my altitude above
7.
ground. And that's my altitude above sea level.
0 colon throttle colon 0% colon throttle preset 0 colon colon.
That's my throttle position, and that's pretty much it. I've got a lot of buttons set up to do different things on the controller, and I've got the flight sticks which will do up, down, left, right while I'm in the air, because it makes it a lot easier than pressing keys. But okay, so let's get a runway assignment. When you first start out with the small plane, you don't have to do that. In the Piper and above, you do need runways, but in the Cessna 152, you're just basically taking off on a small padding, so you just get clearance to take off. But we need a runway, so let's get runway.
Combo box. Enter dash asking for permission to enter the runway. Plan dash I want to change the flight plan. Repair dash I need repairs. Runway dash asking for runway assignment. Enter. Edit.
SK824, you've been assigned runway 08. You can taxi.
Okay, so we're being given runway 08. Now just an important thing with runways, if you get 08, you just add a 0 to the end, and that tells you the angle that you'll be taking off at, so it'll be 80 degrees. So 08 turns into 80. Like the opposite end of that runway would be 26, I believe. We'll check that in a minute. So that would be 260 degrees. So you just add a 0. I found that really interesting when I found out how they name the runways. I never knew that up until I started playing this game. So we've been given runway 08, so now let's find out how we get there. So to bring up your current airport information, or the nearest airport, but I'm sitting at the airport, so that will be my current. I press Shift and Enter.
Shift Enter. Combo box. Pilot Roderberg 69 left, Paren 1 right, Paren.
And this brings up the airport information, so it gives my name first.
SKMTF 824-training flight.
My flight, and it's a training.
Beachcraft 36 Bonanza left, Paren 1 right,
Plane
Paren.
that I'm in.
EHTE-Tooch.
Now this is the airport, so it's EHT Tooch. I don't know how you spell that or say that, but it's in the Netherlands. I like the Netherlands because it's very flat and no real mountains to run into.
Public without maintenance services left, Paren 1 right, Paren.
Right, so it's public without maintenance. You refuel your own plane. They will repair you if you need it, but you don't get any pushback or anything like that, which doesn't work in the game at the moment.
Height above sea level 7 meters.
Right, where height above sea level is 7 meters. That comes in handy when you've got to take off and know what altitude you're going to be above sea level.
Difficulty :1.
Difficulty :1, which is just a difficulty of the airport. They're very easy here. I've landed at a difficulty 6 and I landed fine. So don't be too scared of the difficulty. It just means you may have to come down a little bit quicker from a mountain or something like that.
Approach control :121.0.
There's your approach control, which is 121.0, which I've set, which you can check that by pressing the F key at any time. That tells you your frequency.
Airport description :
Now this is the airport description, so it describes everything about the airport. We're just going to go through this quickly because I just want to find out what this runway is so we can get off the ground.
Runways 2.
So it's got 2 runways.
Runway 0321 left, Paren 700 meters right, Paren.
So that's runway 0321, so that's 30 degrees and 210 degrees.
Closed.
It's closed anyway, so we're not allowed to use it.
Entrance 03:alpha-100.
Now this tells you where the entrance is. I'm not going to go through that one yet because I'm actually looking for runway 08.
Entrance 21 cold surface :grass.
Right, that's a grass runway.
Runway 0826 left, Paren 1199 meters right, Paren.
This is the one I want, so I'll just play that again.
Surface :grass. Runway 0826 left, Paren 1199 meters right, Paren.
Yep, so it is 0826, so the opposite end is 26, and it's 1,999 meters long. So we've got plenty of room to take off and land on this runway.
Entrance 08:alpha-delta-400, 760.
Right, so this is where runway 08 is in the coordinates. So I'll play it again, and we just need to listen to where we've got to go. So I believe it's just we go along taxiway Alpha until we get to Delta, then we turn onto Delta, and then the runway is off that. Now it could be to the left or to the right, I'm not sure. You'll find out that as you're moving along. You'll hear the beeps in the ear on your headphones. I recommend wearing headphones. You'll hear the beep in the ear to tell you where to turn. It actually tells you, which you'll see when we're moving along there. So I'll play that again.
Runway 0826 left, entrance 08:alpha-delta-400, 760.
Yep, so it's Alpha Delta and its coordinates
Runway
are
entrance 08:alpha-delta-400, 760.
400, 760. So I'm currently at
65 parking in front of the hangar.
65,
844 parking in front of the hangar.
840. So it's quite a distance away. And we cruise there at about 15 kilometers an hour in this plane. I don't go too fast. If it's a long taxiway, I might, but right, what's
Entrance
next?
26:alpha-delta-foxtrot Yankee-608,
So
1940.
that's for the opposite end, which is 26, which you've got to go Alpha Delta Foxtrot Yankee to get to that one. So we will go past Foxtrot, and I'll point that out as we get there. But because we're not going to that runway, we don't turn there.
Surface :ASPH.
And it's asphalt, ASPH.
Hangar southeast.
And the hangar is southeast, which I'm parked in front of. So you need to know that where that is when you're taxiing back in, because you need to know the directions to turn.
Airport building on the north side of the hangar.
I've never used the airport building. Right, so we know where we are, we know what we're doing. We've got to get to runway 08. So let's get moving and see how we go. Right, now you've got to turn your park brake off, so I'm going to do that with voice. Park brake off.
Parking brakes off.
Right, so that's off now. I'm not sure what the key is for that. You just have to go to that Alt-H and go through the plane properties. It'll tell you all the keys and you can memorize them. So, alright, we're ready to go. So I'm going to throttle up. Now when I throttle up, I've got to turn around. So I'm going to get up to speed. I'm going to choke the engines, which stops them at that speed. I think it's Control D to choke. I'm not sure. Hang on.
Control delete.
No,
PC cursor 110%.
no. It's because I'm not moving. It's not working. So, but I'm just going to use my my controller because I have that set to the right stick down button, and I have my idle speed on the engine set to the view button on the Xbox controller. So right, let's start moving and get heading to the airport. I may get a bit quiet because I have to concentrate on getting to this runway correctly, but I'll try and keep talking. Let's go.
5, 6,
Hangar.
8, 9, 11. Shut off dash throttle crease 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 104, 150, 106, 100, 108, 109, 202, 230, 220, 200, 240, 250,
Alpha.
260, 270, 272,
Alpha.
270, west,
Alpha.
Right, so I just turned around and I'm now facing at
Alpha.
270 degrees, facing
West.
west,
Alpha.
and I'm heading towards Alpha. Right, I'm on Alpha now.
12,
So we're heading at 12 kilometers an hour. It's pretty slow. I normally get up to about 20, but we're now on Alpha. You can tell by pressing your button for where you are.
49 alpha,
So I'm at 49 Alpha,
763 alpha, 759 alpha,
and I believe this is Delta to my right. So we turn onto Delta, which runs north-south.
330,
So we need to go to 0.
340,
Delta.
350,
Delta.
0, 4, 2,
Delta.
0, north, north,
Right, we're heading north now. We're not actually on Delta until it says it.
Delta.
Right, now we're on Delta.
107 delta, 735 delta,
Right, now the runway's not far up here, so I'm going to... You probably should stop like a normal plane before you get to the runway and call the tower, but I'm going to call the tower now and get permission to go onto the runway.
combo box, enter dash asking for permission to enter the runway, enter,
SK824, you're permitted to enter the runway.
Right, so we're allowed to enter the runway. Foxtrot will be coming up on the right in a minute because I believe the runway here is to the right. So we'll cruise past Foxtrot. This should be Foxtrot now.
Foxtrot.
Right, so if I had to go the other end of the runway, I'd be turning right there now,
Foxtrot.
which is east-west, so I'd be going back to the east at 90 degrees.
Foxtrot.
All the taxiways run north-south,
Foxtrot.
east-west. There's none on any angles, so you can always count on that. I have a
Foxtrot.
list, so I can ask what direction that is. Direction of Foxtrot.
Foxtrot goes east-west.
I've set it up so I know which way to go if I forget, because there is Delta, Foxtrot, Charlie, Yankee, Zulu, Mike, Echo, Oscar. I don't want to flood you with information. Right, next one's going to be the runway. So in these small planes, I hear the beeps and I don't turn onto the runway until I actually hear it say the runway. So we'll wait for that.
08.
Right, now I'll turn onto it,
10,
and I've got to turn to 80 degrees.
42, 50, 60,
08.
70, 80, 80,
08.
Right, I'm at 80, so now I just wait till I get on the
Runway
runway
0,
and I
0.
stop. I set the throttle to 0 and we're stopped. So I already had permission to get on, so now if I check, I should be on the runway.
382 runway 0826,
Right, so I'm on runway 0826.
768 runway 0826,
Right, so now we've got to set up to take off. When you get in a bigger plane, there's a lot more to do, but in this little plane, we've just got to set the flaps. Now we know that's to set the flaps to 1. Set the flaps.
set flap position, edit, 1, enter, edit,
Flaps set.
Right, our flaps are set. We'll get permission to take off now. You never take off without permission or you'll get a penalty.
combo box, enter dash asking for permission to enter the runway,
Right, we've done
plane
that.
dash I want to change the flight plan,
We don't change the
repair
flight
dash I need
plan.
repairs,
We don't need
runway
repairs.
dash asking for runway
We've
assignment,
got the runway, so we're
pivot
fine.
dash asking for takeoff clearance,
Right, takeoff clearance. Let's get that.
enter,
SK824, cleared for takeoff.
Right, we're cleared for takeoff. You used to be able to take off the wrong way on runways, but they now have it implemented. It will tell you that you're not assigned for the runway you're on, so I just play around testing things occasionally. But right, you can now do R to check your speed,
R, 0 flaps at 1,
and it'll tell you your flap settings. So always check that before you take off to make sure your flaps are set correctly.
R, 0 flaps at 1,
In the bigger planes, you've got 2 flight modes. I'm not going to go too much into that, but you've got taxi and flight. And I always check that in the bigger planes by pressing the throttle button, which I'm not sure what it is on here, but I've got it set to my left stick button.
0 colon throttle colon 0% colon throttle preset 0 colon colon,
And if I was in a bigger plane, that'd tell me if I was in taxi mode or flight mode. And you don't want to be in taxi mode when you're trying to take off. Right, I quickly check my fuel again to make sure I got enough fuel.
544 liters.
And I can check my distance travelled, which should only have maybe a kilometre, a full couple hundred metres.
0.5 kilometers.
I've travelled half a kilometre, so that's not too bad. Right, so we've got permission, we're ready to go. Now this is where I do my takeoff command, and once I get in the air I will do a command to set my mode for flying, which will then turn off the taxi lights and all that, and pull up landing gear if I have landing gear that's retractable. So right, I'm going to take off now, so we'll get in the air and get to the next runway.
0 flaps at 1.
Full throttle.
Throttle preset 5, 80.
And check your angle again, make sure you're at the right angle.
80.
Right, I check my speed as I get up the runway.
R43 flaps at 1. R 55 flaps at 1. 67 flaps at 1. 78 flaps at 1.
Now I've got to be above 120, remember?
R 99 flaps at 1. R 110 flaps at R 119 flaps, 127 flaps.
Right, up we go. I just press shift and down once and we're now at 10 degrees and we're taking off. That beep is the runway underneath me.
Takeoff successful.
And we're in the air.
80.
Right, so let me set this.
203 flaps at 1.
I'm above the stall speed. Flight mode.
Safety
Flight
zone.
mode.
Landing lights off. Taxi lights off.
SK824,
set.
climb to
Set flap
70.
position. Set flap position. Set it.
Right, it's telling me to set my flaps, so I'll set them to 0 because you damage them if you keep them down.
0. Enter. Edit.
And you heard that radio command as I was taking off. Again, if
Flaps
you didn't
set.
hear it because you were focused, you can just press the space bar. But I'm sure he told me to go to 700
Space.
something.
SK824, climb to 70.
Right, so that's above sea level.
543.
Right, so I'm at
564.
540.
579.
I'll just climb up a bit
618.
quicker.
641. 664. 693. 716.
SK824, turn to 68.
You can turn to where they tell you, but at the moment it doesn't really matter. I just go to where I want, so I'm pressing the button which tells me the direction I need to go.
121 left at 319. 121 left at 319. 121 left at 319.
So I've got to turn to 319. So I'm going to use the auto course for that. Set course.
Set course. Set course. Set it. 3, 1, 9.
Now they implemented it so you can actually tell it the angle you want to bank at. Originally you only banked at 6 degrees. I want to turn a bit faster than that, so now I put in a comma.
M. 319, comma.
And then I tell it the angle I want to turn at. So I'm going to turn it 25 degrees because you don't
4,
don't go any further than that or you might flip the plane and crash. So now we're going to turn.
25, 69, 57, 40, 39, 28, 6, 10, 350, 300, 300, 318.
It's very quick in these little planes, but in the bigger planes that takes a long time.
130 kilometers, Texel 22 minutes.
Right, I'm going to put on turbo mode just so we get there a little bit quicker. So to do turbo mode, you have to tick a box in your settings to be able to do it. Once I get into normal flights, I will uncheck that box. But you've got to be at 100% throttle, which I'm currently at 90%, which is full throttle when you take off.
90 colon throttle colon 90% colon throttle preset 5
Right.
colon colon.
So I'm going to set to 100% by pressing shift and home, which goes up 10% increments in throttle, and then I'm going to press shift D to set the turbo mode. Shift delete, sorry. Right, I should be at 100%.
100 colon throttle colon
Yep.
100% colon throttle preset 5
Don't
colon
fly at 100% because it'll damage your engines, but turbo mode
Turbo mode.
is a bit different.
354.
So I was at 350 something kilometres an hour, and now I'll go up to about 389. It only gives you about 10% more throttle,
Provincie del
so
Berlin.
it's not a great deal. And those names you're hearing it call out are just places you're flying over
Provincie
on the
Overijssel.
ground,
Provincie Overijssel.
which you can check with your number keys. One will tell you the country or area you're in.
Europe.
I'm in Europe,
Netherlands.
Netherlands.
3. Province Overijssel.
That's where I'm in, Provincie Overijssel or whatever it's
4.
called.
Jemming Pulse Dash Ridge. Real Sumerveld.
And you can go right down.
Real Sumerveld.
That's key 4. So depending on how many zones it's got. Right. So now that I'm in the air, I change over to the next radio frequency, unless the airport told me to change to the ATC of the country or the state that I'm in. But I'm going to get the information for my destination airport, which to get your destination airport is just press Alt Enter.
Alt Enter. Combo box. Pilot Roderberg 69 left paren 1 right paren.
And this comes in very handy while you're flying. You can check out runway runways there and what the altitudes are, which I'll do in a second, but I just want to get this frequency first.
SKMT F800 Beechcraft 36 Bonanza BHTX-Tech public without maintenance service at height above sea level 0 meters. Difficulty: 1. Approach control: 119.3.
Okay, so it's 119.3. We'll change to that so we're ready when we get in range.
Escape.
Set radio frequency.
Set frequency edit. 11009. 119, period, 3. Enter, edit.
Right, don't hear anything because we're out of range.
116 kilometers, Texel 18 minutes.
My range for small airports is within 45 kilometres. The radio tower should contact me. If it doesn't, I'll contact them. So I'm just checking my distance away and how long it'll take.
114 kilometers, Texel 17 minutes.
So we're 17 minutes away at 100 and whatever kilometres.
384.
And we're currently travelling at 384 with turbo on.
2 left at 317.
Now it's telling me I've got to go 2 left at 317. Don't panic about adjusting your course 1 or 2 degrees all the time, otherwise you'll drive yourself nuts. It will change all the time. I'd probably wait until I get 3 or 4 degrees out before I change. But with these planes, it's quite easy. You can just type in the auto one. I can't remember what key it is. You'll have to go into the Alt H and find out what the auto altitude is. Auto altitude and auto direction. You can use both of them. So I'm going to find out what direction I've got to be at.
2 left at 317.
So it says 317. So I'm going to change to that just to show you how to do it. Set direction. Set direction. I can't remember my own command. Set course.
Set course.
There
set
we
course
go.
set.
So it's 317.
8, 7.
And because it's only 2 degrees, I'm not going to tell it to bank at 25 degrees.
317. Enter. Edit.
Right, we're already at it. See?
Dead ahead at 317.
Dead ahead at 317. That's going to change over the course of the flight, so we're fine.
105 kilometers, Texel 16 minutes.
Right, 105 k's to go. We're doing well. Cruising at 384. While you're flying, you should always check your altitude. Now, you check you're above sea level the most at this height, and then you can check you're above ground as well.
722.
So it's 722 above sea level.
707 above ground.
And 707 above ground. That's safe. But there's another one you can do. I think I'm not going to tell you keys if I don't know what they are, so you'll have to check. But there's checking the nearest object ahead of you. Nearest object.
Not detected.
So there's nothing in front of me at this altitude, which is good. So I know I'm not going to run into anything right now. But you just keep checking everything while you're going. You check your speed.
384.
Check your course.
317.
I'm at 317. Check where I'm meant to be at.
Dead ahead at 317.
So we're spot on.
99 kilometers, Texel 15 minutes.
15 minutes to go. You can.
52.472.
That's your actual current coordinates.
52.474. 52.475. 5.836.
So
5.834.
you can check those.
724 above ground.
You can also see what's ahead of you by pressing if you've got a controller.
18 kilometers vertical bar north sea vertical bar
That's
2 minutes.
just your numpad, your D-pad.
18 kilometers vertical bar north sea vertical bar 2 minutes.
I'll be over the North Sea in 2 minutes. To my left,
North sea vertical bar 133 kilometers.
North Sea.
North sea vertical bar 124
To my
kilometers.
right is the North Sea.
90 kilometers vertical bar Germany vertical bar 14
And
minutes.
Germany's behind me, so because I'm still over Netherlands. But right, so we're going to do some quick checks of the current airport we're going to. So that's your destination. So we'll go Alt Enter again, and we'll check some altitudes for landing.
Alt Enter. Combo box. Pilot Roderberg 69
So
left.
the
1 right correct.
first box again is the airport, and we'll just find out what runways it's got and see where we may be landing.
SKMT Beechcraft 30 BHTX-Tex. Public without maintenance services. BHTX-Texel. Public without maintenance service. Height above sea. Difficulty: 1. Approach control: Airport description: Runways 2.
So it's got 2 runways like the other
Runway
one.
0321 left paren 1108 meters right paren.
Oh, so 0321 is 1,000.
Runway 0321 left paren 1108 meters right paren.
1,108 metres, so we could get that one easily. So that's 30 degrees and 210 degrees, depending on which runway we get assigned.
Entrance 03:1 entrance 21
Don't need to know where to get off them at the moment,
surface grass.
because we don't know. Now that's a grass runway.
Runway 1230 left paren 622 meters right paren.
1230, so that's 120 degrees one way and 300 degrees the other end.
Entrance 12:Alpha Delta -700. Entrance 30:Alpha
We
Delta
don't need to
Foxtrot
know.
90 -408. 1000 surface grass.
and they're both grass runways, so we
Entrance
could
30,
get
entrance,
either.
runway 1230 left, Paren 622 meters right, Paren.
That's 622, so we could get that one because we only need 400 and something meters to land.
Entrance 12, entrance 30 colon alpha, surface colon grass. Hangar southeast.
The hangar's southeast, so we know we're going to be heading along Alpha to get back to the hangar. So, right, we press tab to get to the next box,
Combo box, descent map.
the descent map. So this comes in very handy. The main one I listen to is the first one, which is the safe altitude directly around the airport. So you can be at that altitude usually to land.
Height above sea dash level 0 meters. Same altitude, safe circle to 0.7 kilometers.
Okay, sorry about that.
Height above sea dash level 0, same altitude, safe circle to 0.7 kilometers.
Okay, so the same altitude safe circle is 2.7. So that pretty much means from 2.7 kilometers in, you can be at a reasonably low altitude. I tend to not go below 50 meters now until I get to about 300 meters out from the airport, and then I descend down really quickly. I have crashed because there are bugs. It is a beta. So let's check the next distance.
2 kilometers, safe altitude 5 meters, which is 5 meters above ground.
Yep, so because this airport's at sea level, so
North
it's
Sea.
5 meters above.
North Sea.
Right, see, we're over the North Sea now.
5 kilometers, safe altitude 6 meters, which is 6 meters above ground.
Like I said, Netherlands is very smooth, very flat, so that's why these altitudes are like that.
10 kilometers, safe altitude 8 meters, which is 8 meters above ground. 15 kilometers, safe altitude 8 meters, which is 8 meters above ground.
Yep, see, so even 15 k's we can be really low. I wouldn't recommend being at that level. You may still hit something, even though it says you won't.
20 kilometers, safe altitude 8 meters, which is 8 meters above. 30 kilometers, safe altitude 8 meters, which is 8 meters above ground. 50 kilometers, safe altitude 32 meters, which is 32 meters above ground. 100 kilometers, safe altitude 32 meters, which is 32 meters. 150 kilometers, safe altitude 97 meters, which is 97 meters above ground.
This area gives you a real false sense of security. I wouldn't be down below 100 meters from that far out, but I can descend a little bit now, which I'm going to do with the auto altitude just to show you how that works. But you can check the runways as well. It will give you the safe runways. So I'll only do the first one just to show you.
Runway 03.
So this is for runway 03. So if we were assigned runway 03, we can check the descend map for that, because they know your alignment for that. If you're landing for that and you're in direct alignment with it, they know if there's a mountain in front of it, so they'll tell you.
4.4 kilometers descent, 5 meters, which is 5 meters
So
above ground.
4.4 kilometers, I can be at 5 meters, which I wouldn't be anyway.
70 kilometers descent to 16 meters, which is 16 meters above ground.
70 kilometers it tells me. So depending on the airport you're at, you want to check that. Some of them have a lot more descents than that, especially if you've got to come over a mountain and slowly go down. But yep, that's it. And then the next tab is for waypoints.
Combo box, waypoints.
I'll be using these shortly. For small airports you only get 2. I think one's 2.5 kilometers from the airport, and the second one is 5 kilometers from the airport. So you've got A and B. A would be 2.5 kilometers away. I use them to line up with the runway I want. I'll explain that when I get there. So
3A left, Paren 93 kilometers, 1 left, right,
yep,
right.
so there's 3A
3B left, Paren
and
93 kilometers, 3 left,
3B.
right,
That's if
right.
I was lining up for that, but I'm not for the moment, so let's just go back.
Escape, edit.
And let's just check some things.
384. 66 kilometers, Texel 10 minutes. 1 left at 316.
See, it's 1 left. I'm not going to change to that. But I'm going to go down in altitude. It's pretty safe around here. Like I said, very flat.
722. 722 above ground.
Right, so let's go down to, let's do 350. Now remember, this is above sea height. This is for sea height, not above ground. So if you set it for 350 above sea level, but you're above a mountain and it's 400 meters high, you're going to crash. So you've got to be very careful. So, but I know there's nothing below that, so I'm going to go down to 400 above sea level. Set altitude.
Set altitude, edit.
So same thing here.
0, 0.
You can do comma to go down at a certain degrees. I'm just going to let it do it at the default, which I think is about 6 degrees down. So we'll just press enter and we'll start descent.
400, enter, edit.
That noise you hear tells you you're descending or turning. That diddling. If you hear that and you're not doing anything, be concerned. Check everything.
573 above, 564/400 auto. 545/400 auto.
See, it tells me 500. It tells me my altitude, what I'm going to, and that it's auto.
481/400 auto. 460/400 auto.
Be there in a
439
second.
above ground /400 auto. 410/400 auto.
Right, that ding tells me that we're there.
499.
It went 1 lower, that's fine. and then you check your ground level.
399 above ground.
And then I recommend checking nearest object. Nearest object,
Not detected.
see, nothing in front of me, so we're safe.
55 kilometers, Texel 8 minutes.
So we've still got 55 Ks. The airport will contact me at 45.
317. One left at 316.
See, there's still one left. That's not worth worrying about. If you're pedantic and you want to do it, go right ahead, but I don't worry about it too much.
399, 399. 1 colon throttle colon 110% colon throttle preset 1 colon turbo mode colon.
Yep, so I'm still in turbo mode.
384.
Still doing 384 kilometres an hour. I turn that off when I get to so far out from the airport, which that's just using shift delete to set your flight mode. That'll set you back to normal throttles, which will set you back to 90% throttle. But you can do other things while you're here, listen to music, whatever. You can flick off the screen. I wouldn't recommend it if you haven't got far to go, because things can happen really quickly. Eventually they'll have weather and everything turned on in the game, so you may run into a storm, which I have my weather API set, and I can check the current weather by pressing W.
W. Broken clouds, temperature 13, pressure 1014, humidity 90, northeast wind 6 meters per second.
So there you go. It's 13 degrees, so pretty nippy here in the Netherlands. Quite warm the day there probably. And it tells me all the wind and the barometric pressure and everything. So, and that is live from where I am right now, because I did go in and set the API key up for the weather, which is quite easy. Just follow the steps when you're doing it.
1 left at 316. 45 kilometers, Texel 7 minutes. 45 kilometers, Texel 7,
Right.
Texel
Right.
control.
There we go.
SK824, welcome to our airspace.
There's the radio. Now I'll request my runway so I know exactly where I've got to go.
Combo box, approach dash asking for approach clearance.
We don't want approach clearance
Right
yet.
dash aborting landing. Then dash asking for landing clearance. Runway dash asking for runway
Right, we
assignment.
want the runway.
Then
So
runway dash asking for runway assignment. Enter, edit.
SK824, you've been assigned runway 30.
we're going to be landing on 30, which is 300 degrees.
317.
Which isn't far to turn, so we're going to turn to that. So to go down in degrees, you need to turn to the left. So we need to get to 300 degrees. So that's not a great deal. We've only got to go 17 degrees. So we're going
384.
to...
Lane
40
Jack
kilometers,
Lantern
Texel
said,
6
has
minutes.
anyone else found it a bit challenging to use a horse? I just got one, looking forward to running around town faster, but it seems like I get
Sorry
thrown off
about
all
that.
the time, even just.
That's my Discord. I thought I'd muted that, but... right, so let's start heading to 370. So I'm going to turn to...
320, 330, 304,
the
313, 12, 22. 38 kilometers, Texel 5 minutes. 72 left at 315. 72 left at 315.
Right, so we're going down. I've turned quite a distance away. I'm at 70
73
degrees.
left at 314.
73, and that's going to go further. So it's going to 14 to 314.
74 left at 313.
Left will make you go higher in numbers. Right will make you go less. I got that incorrect, sorry.
75 left at 312.
So we're at 312. Just got to keep eyes on this. I get it closer and then I'll set the course and I'll press enter at 25 degrees and then quickly snap back.
77 left at 310. 37 kilometers, Texel 5
And
minutes.
because I'm at such an angle,
78 left at 309.
78 degrees away from the airport, I don't get
37
much
kilometers, Texel
closer.
5 minutes. 37 kilometers, Texel 5 minutes. 79 left at 308. 79 left at 308.
Right, so I'm going to get this course set ready and then I just have to press enter. Set course.
Set course, 3, 0, 0. 300, comma, 2, 5.
Right, so we're set and all I've got to do is press enter. Because I'm using the controller, it'll still tell me, but if you're using the keyboard, you can't do that. Otherwise you won't be able to check anything.
36 kilometers, Texel 5 minutes. 83 left at 304. 84
Right,
left at
so we're
303.
Just
84 left
about
at
ready to
303.
turn, so then I'll
84
press
left at 303. 85 left at 302. 85 left at 302. 85 left at 302. 85 left at 302. 86 left at 301. 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 87 left at 320. At 7. 300, 300, 400, 300, 300, 300,
Right,
300.
let's see.
Dead ahead at 300.
Right, dead ahead at
36
300.
kilometers, Texel
Now we're
5 minutes.
heading, we're on the direct course for the
Dead ahead at
runway.
35 kilometers, Texel 5
So
minutes.
we'll get approach clearance, so we're allowed to come in.
Combo box. Approach dash asking for approach clear. Enter.
SK824, you can begin approach.
Right, so we can begin approach, and we're going to move down a little bit in
399
altitude
above ground. 399.
because we're still at
34
we're
kilometers,
above
Texel 5
water,
minutes.
so
33 kilometers, Texel 5 minutes.
we've got 33 k's. I'm going to go down to probably, I don't know, 200 meters above ground for now, which is above water.
317 above ground, 272 above ground, 242 above ground, 204 above ground, 175 above ground, 187 above ground, 198 above, 212 above ground, 207 above ground,
That'll
31
do.
kilometers, Texel 4 minutes, 207,
And that's why that's sea level.
207 above ground,
And we're at sea level because we're above the North Sea. That's why.
384.
So you can check that.
1, North Sea, 2, North Sea,
Right.
384, 30 kilometers, Texel 4 minutes,
Now I'll start slowing down. I'll do the shift end or shift delete, sorry, and get the turbo mode off when I get a bit closer because these planes slow down really quickly, and I don't want to be taking too long to come into land.
28 kilometers, Texel 4 minutes, 384, 300, dead ahead at 300,
You keep checking because you may end up going a little bit off course. This is where it gets important. When you're actually heading to the runway, you need to fix that 1 degree. So let's
dead
say
ahead at 300,
if it went off 1 degree to 301, I would turn to the right a couple of degrees just to get it back on course. If it turned to 299, I would turn left a couple of degrees just to get it back on course. And then once you're back on course, you go back to your
dead
head.
ahead at 300,
But I'm hoping to stay at this angle all the way in
dead
now.
ahead at 300, 23 kilometers, Texel 3 minutes, 23 kilometers, Texel 3 minutes, 23 kilometers, Texel 3 minutes,
Right, at 20 kilometres I'm going to turn turbo mode
300,
off.
384,
See, I can actually check the descent. I'll wait till I turn
dead
turbo
ahead at
off
300, 22 kilometers, Texel 3 minutes, 21 kilometers, Texel 3 minutes,
because we'll slow down a bit. But I can check the descent for runway 300 or 30, sorry.
21 kilometers, Texel 3 minutes,
Right, I'm going to turn that off so I can do that. So we press shift and delete.
121,
mode.
shift delete,
Right, we're back in flight mode. We'll just check our throttles, make sure we're not on 100% because we don't want to damage the
90 colon throttle colon 90%
Yep.
colon throttle preset 5 colon colon,
90%. Right, so we're going to open up the airport. There's lots of airports around. You may get the wrong one, so make sure you check that it is the airport you want if you press shift enter.
shift enter, combo box, pilot Roderberg 6 SKMT Beachcraft 36.1 BHTX dash Texel,
Yep, so Texel is the airport I'm going to. If it's the wrong airport, just press Alt Enter to get your destination. But let's go to the descend
combo
map
box, descend
and then
map,
quickly go to runway 30.
high dip say 2, 5, 10, 5, 20, 5, 1, 1, run 4, 7, runway 70 kilometers, runway 21, 7, runway 30,
Right, this is runway 30. This is my descent map.
47 kilometers descent to 5 meters which is 5 meters above ground, 51 kilometers descent to 18 meters which is 18 meters above ground,
So I'm closer than that already. I'm at like 20 kilometres. So
51 kilometers, 47 kilometers descent to 5 meters which is 5
so
meters
it's
above
saying I
ground,
can get down right now, but I'm not going to. I'll go down to maybe 150, but that's it.
escape, edit,
Right, let's get out of there.
14 kilometers, Texel 2 minutes, dead ahead at 300,
Right, let's go down.
179, 159, 138 above ground, 117 above ground, 117,
Right, that's fine. We'll stay at that height.
13 kilometers, Texel 2 minutes,
Right, in these planes I start slowing down at about between 10 and 8 kilometres, so I'll cut the throttles completely to 0 to idle. You never used to be able to do that. If you did that, you would drop out of the sky because they had it set for a different way of landing. But now you can go to 0%, it's fine without crashing. So I just thread it to 0 to get my speeds and everything. So once I start doing
10
that,
kilometers, Texel 1 minutes,
I'm going to be a little bit distracted, so I may not talk as much because I've got to get my everything set up. I've got to get the landing mode done and all those things done, and to choke off the engine above 112 speed. So I may be a little bit focused on that.
8.3 kilometers, Texel 1
Right,
minutes,
let's cut the throttles,
throttle preset 0,
and now I'm going to be a bit focused.
344, 340,
So I keep checking my speed. I'll set the landing mode when I get to about 200.
303, 297,
And then I'll set the flaps
285.
between 180, 190 and 180,
267,
which I'm going to set them to 2 because that's my landing.
253, 248, 6.3 kilometers, 242,
See how fast I'm slowing down?
237, dead ahead at 300, 6.1 kilometers, Texel
Keep
1 minutes,
checking everything.
225, 221, 218,
Landing mode.
Taxi lights on.
Your
Landing
landing lights
lights
and
on.
taxi lights are now
Lowered.
on. Please keep
198,
preparing for landing. When
195,
you are at almost
Set the
landing
flaps.
speed, set the flaps to optimal
set
landing
flap is at
settings.
2,
And make sure your
enter,
landing
edit,
gear is down.
181, 178,
Europe, Netherlands,
flaps
Provincial,
set.
Europe, Netherlands,
171,
Right,
5.0
ready,
kilometers,
go.
Texel 1 minutes,
Runway list.
combo box, 30, Enter.
I'll
Edit.
explain that in a minute.
154 flaps at 2. 152 flaps at 2.
That was ILS I was connecting to, which you can connect to at 5 kilometres if you're on the right course.
140 flaps at 2. 138
Right,
flaps
I'm
at 2.
going to set this first before
135
I
flaps at 2.
keep
133
talking.
flaps. 131 flaps at 130 flaps at 2. 128 flaps at 127 flaps at 2. 125 flaps at 2. 123 flaps at 2. 121 flaps at 2. 120 flaps at 2. 118 flaps at 117 flaps at 2.
Speed
150
low.
choke off dash
Fatal stall
114
imminent.
flaps
I
at 2.
forgot to turn that off. I'm going to turn that off now because that's scary.
Speed
Control
stall
Shift E.
indication off.
Control Shift E.
114 flaps at 2.
Right, I'm a little bit fast still.
3.6 kilometers Texel 1
So
minutes.
I'm going to cut the engines again.
Throttle preset C 114 flat 113 100 choke off dash 111 flaps at 2.
Right, 111's good. I won't crash because my stall speed's 110, which I'll show you quickly.
Control enter. Combo box. Pilot Roderberg 16. Combo box. Technical data. Stalls flaps 1 120 k, flaps 2 110 k mph.
Yep, so 110. I'm above that. Check the altitude.
118 above
I'm
ground.
fine. I'm not falling.
102.7 kilometers Texel 1 minutes.
Right, we've got 2Ks to go.
Deadhead at 300.
And I connected to ILS, so that'll keep me in line with the runway no matter what. So you don't have to adjust your course. If you try and adjust your course, you will lose ILS. So don't touch your course now.
299.5 miles.
That's what I was connecting to when I done the runway list. I don't know the shortcut key. You'll have to check that in Alt H.
2.1 kilometers Texel 1 minutes.
So
111 flaps
okay,
at 2.
we're just cruising in now, nice and steady.
2.0 kilometers Texel 1 minutes. 1.9 kilometers Texel 1 minutes.
When I get down a bit closer, when I get to about a kilometre, I'll head down to about 60 metres. And then once I get to 300 metres out, I'll head down. And basically all I do now is I'll cut the engines once I get over the runway, when you hear the beep sound for over the runway. And then the plane will get to the stall speed and then land.
1.3 kilometers Texel 0 minutes. 1.2 kilometers Texel
Right,
0
let's
minutes.
go down.
115 above ground. 104 above ground. 93 above ground. 86 above ground. 78 above ground. 71 above ground. 62 above ground. 61 58 above ground.
You should be checking the above ground, not above sea
56.
level.
0.9 kilometers Texel 0 minutes. 0.8 kilometers Texel 0 minutes.
Right.
0.8 kilometers Texel 0 minutes. 0.8
checking.
kilometers head at 300. 111 flaps at 2.
Check your
0.7
speed.
kilometers Texel 0 minutes. 0.6 kilometers Texel 0 minutes.
Alright, get nice and close.
0.5 kilometers Texel 0 minutes. 0.5 kilometers Texel 0.5 kilometers Texel 0 minutes. 0.4 kilometers Texel 0
It's
minutes.
slow at 111 kilometres
0.4
now.
kilometers, 0.3 kilometers, Texel 0.3
Alright,
kilometers, Texel
let's
0
head
minutes.
down to below
47
20.
above ground, 41 above ground, 34 above ground,
Airport.
28 above ground, 26, 25 above, 20 above ground, 19 of 17 above, 15 above ground, 15
Right,
above ground.
15's fine. Now let's wait for the runway sound.
Destination dash Texel.
Runway 34.
There it is.
Throttle preset 0.
Cut your engines,
Landing
hit the
successful.
stall speed, and you land. We're on the runway.
443 meters, 421
Ooh,
meters,
it was the short.
402 meters,
It was the short runway they landed us on.
39 flaps at 2.
Awesome. So we'll just slow down. I'll choke the engines when I get to
24
the
flaps at 2.
speed. So
Choked off dash 19 flaps at 2.
choked it at 19.
324 meters.
We've still got 324 metres. If you're checking your where you
568
are,
runway 3012. 575 runway 3012.
you can check that. But I just want to quickly check my way to get off this runway. So
Enter. Shift enter.
it's the opposite end to where I landed.
Height
So
above difficulty colon approach control. Airport runway 0321 left paren 1000 entrance 21 surface colon runway 1230 left paren 622 meters
so
right
it's
paren.
12 I'm going off at because I landed on 30.
Entrance 12 colon alpha delta dash 720
Oh,
960.
cool. So I'm just going alpha delta, so it's delta alpha
Escape.
back to. So I've got to turn left onto delta because delta runs north south, and I checked earlier, and the parking area is in the southeast. So we know we've got to head south.
19 flaps at 2.
Delta,
When you hear this, don't turn until that
Delta.
beeping stops because you're heading straight towards
Delta.
delta now. If you turn now, you won't find it.
Delta.
You'll go into the safety zone.
720 meters 716 meters
Right? We
Delta,
Delta.
turn now when it
200
says
200
delta.
250
And I've got to turn to 180 to go south.
206 199 109 186
12,
182
Don't worry, that's just the runway beside me.
182 182 181 100 south
Right, I'm heading south now at 180.
542 meters 6536
It's
meters
quite a long way to the... See, I can check where I am,
613 delta
613 delta, so that tells me where I am. But if you double press that same button, it tells you how far you've got to go.
470 meters
So it's 470 metres to go. And the other one which tells you your y-axis,
933 delta
if you press that twice, it tells you how far you've travelled.
256 meters 403 meters
I'm only doing
19 flaps at 2
19 kilometres an hour. I'm not hurrying. Normally I would probably speed up here and go a bit quicker. So, but that's fine. I'll just cruise along this time just to show you.
339 meters
So we're just heading back to the main parking area to finish our flight off. once we stop at the main parking area, we'll be finished. And you know what? I forgot to ask for landing clearance on the way in because I got a bit flustered, and I'd probably get a penalty for that because I landed without permission.
235 meters.
So you got to remember to do that. I got approach clearance, but I didn't get landing clearance. So see, now that'll be Foxtrot or something we're passing.
Foxtrot.
Yep, that's Foxtrot to the left. You don't want to turn there because we know we're going to
Foxtrot.
Alpha. It told us Delta Alpha. So just head back to Alpha. So see, even a person that's been playing, I still make mistakes. That's why you probably should do checklists on your way in. Right, here comes Alpha.
Alpha.
Again, we're heading directly towards it. Don't
Alpha.
turn until you get to it. And then we're going to be
Alpha.
turning left to go to the south again, to the
Alpha.
southeast. And that's 90 degrees.
Alpha.
132 meters.
Alpha.
123 meters.
Alpha. Right, we're on Alpha. We'll turn to
106,
90.
159, 104, 130, 129, 117, 110. 100. 90.
Delta.
88. 91, 91, 90, east.
Right.
70, 126 meters.
We've got 126 metres to parking. When I get in the parking, I'm just going to cut my throttles and coast in. Right, that'll tell me I'm approaching the hangar.
Hangar.
Throttle preset 0.
Cut the throttles.
11 flaps at 2,
Hangar.
flaps at 2, 6 flaps at 2, 4 flaps at 2.
Hangar.
Flight completed.
And there's a flight.
Hangar.
So we've landed, we're
Hangar.
finished. I'll just do the flight report for you. And
Hangar.
I don't think I'll get penalties in this
Flight
one,
evaluation
but
dialog.
I
Edit.
think you
Contains
do when you're playing the free flights and things.
Successful flight.
So successful flight.
Flight length: 149 kilometers.
I travelled 149
Duration:
kilometres.
32 minutes.
Took 32 minutes.
Points: 0.
Points 0 because it's a training
Earnings:
flight.
0.
Earnings 0 because it's a training
Minor
flight.
crashes: 0.
No crashes.
Penalty points: 0.
I got no penalty points. If I went off the taxiway or something like that, I would have definitely got them. Or if I didn't ask for permission to get on the runway, I probably would have got them. And that's it. So
Enter. Dashboard.
press enter. You can shut your plane down now if you like, but I'm just going to exit out. But I hope you enjoyed that flight, and we'll see you on the next one.